Each year, millions of tons of waste plastic is incinerated or ends up as landfill. But 100 kilometers outside Vienna in Austria, a US company started a revolution in recycling.
Plastics is the last remaining frontier. All the metals, glass, wood, and paper are recycled at very high volumes because of their inherent value.
Paper and steel, you see recycling rates of 80–90%. Within the durable plastics, in appliances, for electronics goods, for vehicles, the recycling rate is less than 5%.
The real reason plastics aren't recycled at high volumes, say, compared to the metals, is because it's much more complicated. All the properties that you use to separate the other materials, be it density or color or electrical properties, are very similar for all the different types of plastics. MBA essentially broke the code and figured out how to recycle these very complex materials.
We can take a low-value material such as the shredded mixed plastic from end-of-life durable goods, and we could turn that into a high-value commodity.
The value of plastics is actually higher than steel on a price per weight basis. So that's the real loss in not recycling plastics. But there's also a huge environmental burden by either placing plastics in the landfill or particularly incinerating them.
So it's taken an innovation, a new technology, a new way to separate durable plastics to really attack this problem and grow the percentage of durable plastics that are recycled.
This is what's left after a typical metal recycling operation, and this is what we get. This becomes our feedstock. So the challenges for us are first to remove the things that aren't plastic. And there's a fair amount of metal in there. There's fabrics and textiles, rubber and foam, and then of course there's the plastics that we're after, and they come in all sizes and shapes. I may have 10 or 15 or even 20 types of plastic in my hand right now, and then the real job becomes of separating these different plastics from one another. I have a PhD in plastics. I can't tell you which plastic is which. Our process is a lot smarter than me.
The MBA process is based on a complex set of proprietary technologies.
We shred the material to smaller and smaller bits to liberate all the materials from each other. Then it gets a little bit more challenging to separate these different plastics from each other by type and grade.
When I met Mike first, I said, it can't be true. I didn't believe this was possible, this level of separation, and particularly automatic separation. It was amazing to see what purity of plastics can be get to by applying this technology.
After we've separated the materials by type and by grade, we then upgrade them through a compounding step, and we make a final pellet that's indistinguishable for many purposes from virgin material. And we sell that to the same people that make your automobiles, your computers, your electronics, and home and garden products.
It hasn't been done before because it's frankly very hard. And this is something that Mike Biddle and his team have been working at for more than 10 years.
We again look at ourselves not as a plastics recycler, but as a plastics provider. So we have to meet the same basic requirements that the Dow Chemicals, the GE Plastics, the BASFs of the world have to meet.
We receive pretty high grade and high quality material at the end of their life, and the quality of those plastics on average is slightly higher than average plastics. So if we melt those and turn those into new pellets, MBA pellets, we find that in many, many cases our plastics exceed standard virgin plastics.
And then you have a customer base which is willing to pay for the quality of plastic that MBA is producing. In some cases, we believe will be willing to pay a premium.
We need to be global because our customers are global. We're selling plastics to the largest manufacturers in the world. We had to become global essentially overnight. And Europe is most important to us right now because Europe was the first place in the world to introduce the type of recycling that generates the type of materials we're able to recover.
We spent a fair amount of time looking at the industry and kind of understanding what other technologies were out there to do this type of recycling. And it was pretty clear that MBA is several years ahead of anyone else.
We've now taught the world that it's possible to recycle plastics from complex streams, so of course we expect there to be many people trying to duplicate what we've done. Our motivation is to move very quickly so that we put our stakes in the ground around the world.
Our intention is to keep building more plants. We believe we can build easily 5 plants based on the volume of raw material that's available.
I'm an environmentalist at heart, but I'm a businessman bottom line. So for me it was always about creating a new type of plastics company that would have a lower cost basis.
This is a business that, from an economic perspective, has great potential. They have the opportunity to be the low-cost producer in a massive market.
I love to hear that noise. Whenever I drive up for the first time visiting any of our factories, the first thing I listen for is the material going into the silos. That means we're making money.